In this lesson you're going to learn all about annotations. An annotation is a typed modification, a highlighted area or drawn mark on top of a TIFF image. Straight away I must stress that this is not a modification to the image itself, but it sits on top of the image but not modifying it. I can tell that this is an image page straight away because the viewer pane has got an annotations toolbar and also has some annotations already on this page. Let me go through what you can see. Here is a highlighted annotation. Here is what we call a typematic comment, which is see-through text. Here we have a post-it note or sticky note comment. And here we have a drawn annotation. There are some other icons on the screen here, and they are the properties of the annotations themselves. Here's the property icon for the highlight, here's the property icon for the typematic, and here's the property icon for the drawn annotation. Taking you straight through some menu options. On top we have an annotations menu option. Currently we are showing all. If I hide all annotations, they disappear. If I show all annotations, they appear. I can delete and modify settings and properties. What's the difference between a setting and a property? Every object within Keyfile has a property, even annotations. If I go to the typematic property icon, I can select properties from the toolbar, and this will give me access to the title of the annotation itself and also modify the security group of the annotation. Currently this is set to public, so anybody can modify. The asterisk followed by the name is a personal security group, which means I can set this to be my own security group and nobody else can change it, but everybody else can view it. I can also right mouse and obtain a settings option. Each annotation type has a different settings option, but this is what it will actually look like and affects the view and operation of the annotation itself. I can select the properties icon for each of these annotations and physically remove them. Let's now add some annotations. A typed text annotation, post-it or sticky note. Click on the icon and we can add in our text for a sticky note. Notice how it stays exactly where we dropped it. I can move these to one side. Insert typematic annotation. These are very useful when you want to put some extra text on a document that can be seen immediately. When I click, I get a toolbar which allows me to modify how the text will behave. Left justified as default, centered, right justified. I can also create a number of what are known as fields using typematic comments. Let me show you how this works. I highlight an area that I want to put some text into. And then I can highlight another area for some extra text. This is very useful if we are doing forms and we want multiple fields on a form that we can modify. For example, if we want to send a fax recipient a document which is already partially completed for them to fill in and return back to us. We simply fill in the client name, perhaps their address, and they fill in any other details that we haven't got about them. I'm allowed to select the Field Remove button and clear an entire field. If we are using a number of fields on a form and we wish to tab between them, this icon on the Typematic toolbar allows us to modify the sort order of these fields. Simply click on the toolbar button and notice how the fields change from their normal text to their tab position. Clicking on a field will modify its position. The third type of annotation is a written annotation, shown here by the pencil icon. Simply click on the toolbar and we'll receive the toolbar for the written annotation. First button is draw annotation. The second button is to rub out or remove parts of the drawn annotation, and then the simple pointer button. If I go into an area, notice my mouse changes to the drawing icon. Holding down my left mouse, I can draw. Clicking on the remove allows me to remove parts of the annotation. This is different from the Typematic, which actually removes whole fields. Notice it has no effect on anything else. It only affects that current written annotation. Minimizing the properties for this will give us the icon view for that drawn annotation. The fourth annotation is a highlight annotation. Select it from the menu bar. Notice we get the same as before with the written annotation. We have the toolbar option, which is set by default to create the highlight annotation, remove the highlight annotation, and go back to the pointer. So select the area you wish to highlight, and it's highlighted. Again, we can put on multiple highlights. Remove works the same as the Typematic field and removes the annotation in totality. To remove a particular annotation, the annotation icon and not the actual annotation itself must be selected. Here I can select the properties icon for the highlight, for the written post-it note, and Typematic. When selected, as we have here with the Typematic, I can press the X and delete the selected annotation. Remember here, the last toolbar icon is for the properties of the selected annotation. Select an annotation, select properties, and this is to do with the security group and the title of the annotation. It also allows us to see who created it and when it was created. The second part for each type of annotation is the settings. If you remember, a page has a properties and also the page settings. I'm going to change very simply here the highlighted annotation settings. I can either choose the most obvious one, which is the color, and change it to something different, or I can go with the entire settings. Color, settings. Do we wish to print this annotation with the document? I'll go into more detail on that. And change this to be the default setting. Now let's take a look at the settings available for the Typematic comment. It has the most options available for any annotation within Keyfile Workspace because it can be used to create electronic forms. These forms can be used in any organization to avoid the generation of paperwork and can be populated by many users. They can also be used as a means of sending information partially completed to external recipients either by fax or by printing out the document. These type of annotations, when printed, will print in WYSIWYG format. What you see is what you get. Therefore, the format, sizing, position of these fields is very, very important. Let's go in and have a look at the settings. There are two ways we can get at the settings, either by using the right mouse on the icon and picking featured settings from the context menu, such as make the background opaque for all fields, take the opaque background off, or show the borders of fields or not. There's a second way, which is to go to the individual field and modify how that field behaves. Notice you only have one option, which is font for that particular field. Here we go in and we can pick the font we wish to use for that particular field only. Let's go into shared settings using the icon settings. Notice here we have the Typematic settings dialog box where we can change shared options of font, color for normal text and color for the selected fields text. We can change the shared options as we had on the context menu for an opaque background or not. Here we can show the icon for the Typematic comment itself or not, but if you switch it off, you have to be able to switch it on again using another context menu. And we can set the defaults. If I go into an individual field and choose settings, I get the same dialog box, but notice now it's not called shared options, it's called the field number. You can change back to shared options by using the drop-down menu. I can also do something else in electronic forms, which is to create a prompt for that particular field. Let me call this one name. And show it at the left of the field. Let me do the same for the second field and call it address. Notice how this appears at the side of the field that we are going to fill in. Also, we can modify the look and feel of individual fields by resizing using corners, sides and top and bottom. This is a standard feature that you'd expect in any Windows environment. If I wish to move a field, I need to select a corner, hold on to the Shift key and hold on to my left mouse key, and then I can move the field to any position I wish. Another keyboard shortcut is to change the size of font and the spacing between lines. To change the size of font, you hold the Control key down and use the right or left arrow and repeatedly click to change the size of the font. I'm making it bigger by clicking the right arrow while holding down the Control key. If I click the left arrow repeatedly, I reduce the size to a smaller size.